All right, so good afternoon and welcome to the Zoom webinar for the 2020 to 2021 Notice of Funding Availability for Owner-Occupied Home Repair. This presentation will cover the program overview, eligible activities, and contain a quick review of the application process, which was discussed in greater detail in the overall NOFA webinar presentation that we had yesterday. Today we are joined by Thomas Morgan, Housing and Community Development Manager, who will be available for questions later on. Karen Jenks, Housing and Community Development Administrative Manager. Erica Castaneda, Program Manager for Owner-Occupied Home Repair. And my name is Edward Chinevere, Senior Management Analyst with the Housing and Community Development Division. Today we'll cover the following items: the NOFA process and the consolidated plan. We're really going to look at how that NOFA process is affected by the 2020 consolidated plan 5-year planning cycle. We're going to do a program overview. Erica will present an overview of the programs and eligible costs and activities. She'll go over the required documentation and monitoring. And then we'll do a real quick overview of the application process and have some time at the end for a Q&A session as well. So first, we're going to talk a little bit about the planning process as it affects the programs eligible for the owner-occupied home repair application. As we discussed, I believe the folks attending today were also in the overall presentation. And as we discussed in that presentation, the program year 2020 to 2021 is a 5-year consolidated plan year, which means that activities are ordered a bit differently than they were in prior years. The main impact of this is that the city was unable to issue a NOFA earlier because the 5-year strategies had not yet been adopted by City Council. However, the City Council did adopt the strategies in the consolidated plan on May 21st, and that also included the 2020-2021 annual action plan, which included approved projects. Applications for specific activities that meet the objectives of those approved projects are being requested, and those activities are the subject of this NOFA. Note that multiple applications may be approved for funding for each project. The projects that were approved as part of the 2020 to 2021 annual action plan, which are included in this application, are the housing rehabilitation project, as described as addressing the home repair, building systems, and housing rehabilitation needs of low-income homeowners, and $1,028,001 of CDBG funding is available for these activities. The 2020 to 2024 consolidated plan included a new set of strategic priorities, and the following activities that are relevant to this application were prioritized. Those include preservation of the city's existing affordable housing supply through rehabilitation and repair programs to specifically include elderly residents and mobile homes, programming to assist people with disabilities with the cost of accessibility modifications, and home improvement programming that assists homeowners with the cost of improvements that will improve the energy efficiency of their homes. In order to receive funding, a proposed activity must consist of eligible activities, provide benefit to eligible persons, include only eligible costs according to federal requirements, address a priority area in the 5-year consolidated plan, and qualify under one of the approved projects in the annual action plan. In this case, that means it must qualify under the project with ID number 1 in the annual action plan, housing rehabilitation. Please refer to the NOFA handbook for additional information on eligibility, such as eligible organizations and how those are determined, etc. The handbook can be found at www.fresno.gov/housing by clicking on the Notice of Funding Availability tab. We'll go over that a little more at the end. Program Manager Erica Castaneda will provide additional information about activities and costs. And with that, I'll hand it over to Erica Castaneda, Program Manager for Owner-Occupied Home Repair Programs with the City of Fresno.
Good afternoon. To assist the city in meeting its housing priorities, the city is requesting applications from agencies for funding to implement owner-occupied home repair programs for income-eligible households. The application includes a list of programs as examples. Agencies may propose to implement an owner-occupied program based on their experience that will assist the city to meet its housing goals. For example, if there's an agency that currently does a weatherization program and they already have policies and procedures in place, they may choose to apply for CDBG funding to implement a weatherization program. Some other examples include general programs aimed at bringing the home up to code or standard, or special purpose programs that allow for specific repairs. For example, a senior emergency repair program that addresses certain elements of a home, plumbing, electrical, heating, or air conditioning, or accessibility improvement. Or a home repair program for income eligible households to address health and safety repairs and housing code violations. A water heater replacement program that specifically replaces inoperable water heaters. And again, these are just some examples of programs. Eligible costs to implement home repair programs include personnel costs to administer the program, staff that work directly with the program, for example, intake staff, rehabilitation staff that oversee the construction, or program managers, administrative staff, program directors, or analysts. Also, operating costs for supplies, postage, utilities, indirect costs with an indirect cost rate approved by a cognizant agency or a de minimis rate of 10%. Program expenses directly related to a specific project that include hard and soft costs, construction costs, and costs to determine eligibility. And the slide includes some examples of those hard and soft costs. Please note that supporting documentation for all expenses must be provided. Also, there is no reimbursement for food or water expenses. For documentation, we do require that there are policies and procedures in place that describe the program qualifications, requirements, and processes, and include what staff is responsible for certain tasks. Someone that is not familiar with the program should be able to review the policies and procedures and have a good understanding of the program and steps needed to complete a project. This includes a short list of documents that make up project files. The project files need to tell the project story from beginning to end and also support what is written in the policies and procedures. Ensure that the correct income limits are used for the city of Fresno. Those limits are usually updated each year at the end of June. Also ensure that the household income is calculated correctly using HUD's Part 5 annual income definition. Part 5 includes the income the household is currently receiving and anticipated to be received during the 12-month period. As for monitoring, we will complete a programmatic and financial monitoring at least once a year. However, we may also do an on-site visit a few months into the agreement to review files in progress and provide technical assistance. Also, the city's housing rehabilitation specialists will do on-site inspections of projects under construction or at completion. As part of the agreement, quarterly reports will be due within 30 days of the reporting period. That's an opportunity to provide updates on accomplishment information and to advise us of any challenges that we can address and provide guidance on. And of course, our HUD CPD representative monitors the housing division annually. If your project is selected, they will go on site to review files and may request to visit a construction project. If you are awarded funding, we can provide sample monitoring lists to prepare for that monitoring. And the last of my slides includes a list of sites with resources for additional information. The HUD Exchange has a lot of resources and FAQs regarding rehabilitation programs and different scenarios that other cities come across. And these are just a few of the federal requirements. The actual agreement will list all of the requirements.
All right, thank you so much, Erica. We will now go over quickly the application process and resources available to you during the application process. The application process was presented in more detail in the overall presentation yesterday, so this will just be a quick review. The Housing and Community Development Division website contains all of the application materials, including the NOFA handbook, which goes into more detail about the programs, requirements, and application process. You can find that by going to www.fresno.gov/housing and scrolling down. On the left-hand side, you'll see a tab that says Notice of Funding Available. You'll click on that and that will take you to the list of all of the additional resources. So that page has both the handbook and downloads for each component of the application that you'll be submitting. All applicants should submit one NOFA application Part A, which includes organization information. Some of the items required are presented here on this slide, some of which may take your organization some time to prepare, which is why we wanted to show these again, even though we showed them in the first presentation. As we know, some of these might take more time. For example, the resolution of Board of Directors authorizing the application and naming the person or persons authorized to sign the application. While the rest of the materials are due on June 22nd with the application, since we know that one might take a little more time, we're going to give you until July 7th to provide that. And that will allow us to have it on file before we make our recommendations after scoring applications. Applications Part B are required by all applicants. You can submit one or more than one Part B application. For example, if you have a public service component along with an owner-occupied home repair, and both of those are run by your organization, you would only need to submit one Part A application, but you would need to submit separate Part B applications for both of those programs. If you're not sure whether or not you should be submitting one or more Part B applications based on the type of programming that you're applying for, please reach out to us, because we are, everybody's trying to minimize the amount of work required. I don't want you to do unnecessary work. So if you are unsure if you should be submitting one or more applications, please give us a call. Reach out to Erica and she will help you figure out if it makes sense to just do one application. The full tentative timeline is presented on this slide. Applications are due on June 22nd, 2020, after which city staff will score the applications based on the criteria that is included in the application and make recommendations. The target date for city council consideration of the subrecipient agreements is August 20th, 2020. Following that, we'll issue notice of grant awards or NOGAs, and there will be a short turnaround, kind of a short process there. You'll have to give us a little bit more information and sign off on the notice of grant award and return that to us. As in years past, applications are due by 4 p.m. on the submission deadline and postmarks are not accepted. Organizations are asked to submit one signed application and one digital copy of their application. With regard to your physical application, you're encouraged to submit those by mail in advance of the deadline. And upon putting that in the mail, please send us an email or give us a call so that we know that it's on the way. If you are planning to deliver your application in person, please contact us 24 hours in advance to arrange receipt. Given the conditions that we're currently under in the city, it's unclear whether or not we're going to have public access or what access might look like at any given time on account of the COVID-19 pandemic. So if you're planning to deliver in person, please give us a call 24 hours in advance so that we can coordinate with you to ensure the success of your delivery. For digital submissions, you have 3 options. You can send it directly to hcdd@fresno.gov, which is probably the best option for you because you'll have that record that it was sent. However, the city's email account only will accept attachments up to 40 megabytes. So if your application, that your digital submission is bigger than 40 megabytes and you're unable to kind of split it into separate files, then you'll need to select one of the other options. And that includes including a flash drive with your physical submission, or you can use the city's FTP upload tool, and instructions on how to use that tool are included in the appendix of the NOFA handbook. It's pretty simple though. You just click into the tool, upload your file, and then it gives you a link that you just copy and paste into an email to us so that we can download the file from that location. We strongly recommend that you contact the program manager for your application upon submission. And we will send you a confirmation that we've received the application within 1 business day. If you don't receive confirmation from us that we've received that application, then please give us a call at 621-8300 and email us at hcdd@fresno.gov. We don't want any lapses of communication to result in applications not being received. So if you don't receive a confirmation from us, please reach out and make sure that, that we've received that application. Additional support is available. The program manager for owner-occupied home repair, Erica Castaneda, is available between June 8th and June 12th. So if you have any questions and you'd like to schedule a one-on-one consultation, please make sure to email her in advance so that she can schedule for an appropriate time that she's available within that window. And for general inquiries, please reach out to us at hcdd@fresno.gov, and we can point you in the right direction. With that, we will open it up for questions. And in order to ask a question, you just need to add yourself to the queue. If you're joined on the Zoom application, select the icon labeled participants at the bottom center of your screen. A window will open up and click on the label in that window that says raise hand. If you're joined by phone, you can select *9 to be added to the queue. We will unmute you in turn so that you can ask your questions. And with that, we will hold for a moment and see if we have any questions. All right, I don't see any questions. If you do have a question, of course, feel free to reach out to us, hcdd@fresno.gov, or reach out to Erica directly. And we thank you for joining us today, and I hope you have a great week.